If you're drowning in debt and just don't know where to turn, help is available. Attorney Diana Long will help you get your financial situation resolved.
I'm Attorney Diana Long. I'm dedicated to helping hardworking folks just like you. Bankruptcy protection can help you get your financial life back in order, and I can show you how. If you're ready to stop the harassing phone calls and letters, I can help. Call me in Columbia at 442-8123 to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Monday. It is the 4th of July. We're glad to have you with us today. This is a big summer holiday for everybody. And we thought we'd spend the entire segment talking about the 4th of July, Independence Day, how it came about, and pass along some information about the Declaration of Independence. And what better person as an expert? Henry Atkinson. Good to have you here, Henry.
Thanks for having me.
Happy 4th of July.
And to you.
Independence Day came about in
July 4th, 1776.
And that was the day, not necessarily that everybody signed the Declaration of Independence, but it was the day that it was...
It was ratified by the Continental Congress.
Okay, so did it take effect that day, even though everybody had not signed it?
Yes.
Who signed the Declaration of Independence?
Well,
that first day.
That first day, John Hancock, that famous big signature that we all know.
Before he went out and started his insurance company. Okay, so was John Hancock the only one that signed the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July?
As far as we know, yes, that is correct.
And then what happened?
And then through July and August, other famous individuals like Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, who had been there, signed it throughout that time.
Did they come to the document, or was the document sent to them?
They came to the document, and they were in Philadelphia, but just in terms of organization and things like that, on their way out of Philadelphia, many times they would sign it. So it was kind of a gradual process, but it took effect that day.
Okay, give us a little bit of the Declaration of Independence, if you will, now.
Okay, I'm going to recite probably one of the most famous passages right here. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles.
Now, the Declaration of Independence was formed by how many people?
It was a committee of 5. Primarily, there were 2 or 3 people that were really involved. Of course, the draft was Thomas Jefferson, written by Thomas Jefferson himself, but John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman was a little bit involved, Robert Livingston, that 5-man committee, but it was mostly Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin, especially Jefferson, drafting it. And then it was submitted to the Continental Congress, and various members of Continental Congress made revisions and changes, and so it looked different than when Jefferson first penned it out in his draft.
Yeah. How long did it take for the news to spread across the land that this document had been ratified?
Well, I mean, Philadelphia, of course, it was instantaneous. There were huge fireworks celebrations.
Is that where the tradition of the fireworks came on the 4th of July?
That's right. That's right. It happened that day. And as with, other parts of the colonies finding out, it took sometimes weeks for people to find out eventually, to get down all the way to Georgia, all the way up to New Hampshire and what would become Maine.
Right.
But
we didn't have the 24-hour news cycles on cable television and radio.
It didn't blast on CNN that had just been signed. No.
Right. Okay. So it took several months. What other kinds of celebrations took place that day?
Just, people gathering together, parties and celebrations. And it's funny, John Adams predicted all of this would happen, but he thought it would be 2 days before, because that's when the Resolution for Independence, which is, separate, was ratified 2 days before that. So he knew it would happen.
Okay. When did the 4th of July, or Independence Day, become a national holiday? Obviously, it was not a national holiday that day.
No. Unofficially, I mean, pretty much the next year. I mean, the first continuous celebration was in Rhode Island. the next year in 1777. In 1778, George Washington increased rations to his troops in celebration of the 4th of July. So it always took, a national holiday in a sense. I mean, it especially became prevalent in the 1790s and 1800s. But it didn't become officially recognized by the government until 1870 when it became an unpaid federal holiday.
And in 1870, it was an unpaid federal holiday.
That's correct.
Which means federal employees didn't work, but they were not paid for it.
That's right.
When did it become a paid federal holiday?
1938.
Not until 1938.
That's correct.
Wow. What came about to make it a paid federal holiday? We take it for granted now.
I think it was just standardization of holidays. I mean, that had been a trend that had been going on in the late teens and 20s and 30s and would come up again in the 60s and 70s. But I think it was a gradual move toward that.
Okay. Besides the fireworks display and the patriotic music, what else is synonymous to the 4th of July?
Well, it's interesting, and we don't think about this as much now, but especially in the late 18th and 19th and even early 20th centuries, was politicians giving speeches on the 4th of July. And
to further their own causes.
Yes.
Is that where the stump? No, but the stump speeches didn't originate with 4th of July, though, did they?
Not necessarily, but that was a very prevalent spot for them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. They weren't always civil and kind to each other. I know, big surprise, right? But there could be quite acrimonious exchanges.
More so than politicians are today?
At least as much, yes.
Okay. Well, so this isn't new today then?
No. Everyone loves to think, oh, it's never been this bad. Trust me, it goes back to at least Adams and Jefferson.
All right. Well, today is the 4th of July. It is a national holiday. The banks are closed today. There is no mail service today.
Correct.
They will all be back tomorrow. If you are planning to shoot off fireworks, make sure that you're not inside the city limits. It's not legal. There's a wonderful fireworks display tonight in Columbia and communities where you are. I'm sure you'll be able to see fireworks display. And if you are going to shoot off those fireworks and it's legal in your area, be careful, all right? Because it's very easily to be hurt.
That's the truth.
I remember when I was a kid, though, that was a big thing. My dad and I would go and buy the fireworks. We'd put the little firecrackers in the cigar box, and the big Roman candles we'd set off at nighttime. Henry, thank you so much for coming by. If people want more information, Google what?
Google Independence Day, 4th of July. Wikipedia is another great source as well.
All right. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
We're out of time for today, tomorrow, MU Healthcare and Maples Rep Theater. Our show is directed by Travis McMillan of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Andrew Orozco, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. And to watch this program again or to listen to it again, go to kbia.org, click on Radio Friends, and then sign up for a free podcast or a podcast. And if you got any ideas about something you'd like to hear on the air, drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. And again, if you're driving today, be careful and watch out with those fireworks. Bye-bye.